Well, Pat Messick put this program together as he always does, and he came to me and he said, Don, I've got a part for you. I want you to talk about Christ Church, past, present, and future. I said, all 40 years. He said, all 40 years. How far in the future? He said, I don't know, 10, 20 years. I said, how long have I got to do it? He said, 5 minutes. So that's impossible. I went long the first service. I've been trying to make up time ever since then. So I'm just going to say a word or two about, we're not going to talk much about buildings or growth. We're going to talk about, I think, some pivotal moments that created the culture at Christ Church that is so important to us today. First of all, I want to say thanks to Fred Candler for being here on video. We really wanted him to be here live, and he obviously just couldn't do it. But he's going to be here on June the 30th. I'm really excited about this. I hope you will mark your calendars. He is a great preacher, and after all these years, we finally talked him into coming back. So it'll be a great celebration on June 30th. So be sure and be here for that. But when I came here in June of 1983, I found just an extraordinary church. Dynamic, creative, young people, driven by laity who were extraordinarily committed. And I also found this remarkable kind of creativity. For one thing, Pat Messick, the most creative musician in Methodism, and for 35 years, the most creative music program anywhere in Methodism. I'm going to ask Pat to stand. I want to ask you all to stand, as I know you want to. I think this wonderful worship service illustrates what we've all known, and that is if there's any one person who has shaped the spirit and the culture, certainly the worship aspect of Christ Church, it has been Pat Messick for 35 years, and I'm so utterly grateful and lucky to have spent 30 of those years with him. In the early years of the 90s, I think we'd already started talking about, maybe had bought land to relocate the church, but it occurred to me that we really needed to be more than a church that relocates. And so we started talking about outreach ministries. And Lynn Randall came forward and helped to create what we at that time called Esperanza para los Niños, which is Spanish. It means hope for the children. She led the first of several mission trips to the country of Bolivia, a very poor country where children die on a regular basis of perfectly preventable diseases. One of the things that we said at that time was that no child should die in another part of the world that would not die in our part of the world. And that was what was behind. It was a health mission project. And as I said, Lynn led a number of trips to Bolivia, and that was the beginning of this church's remarkable commitment to overseas international outreach and missions. I'm going to ask Lynn to stand, and let's thank her. It's a dangerous thing to recognize individuals. I'm not going to do very many, maybe just one or two more, maybe no more, I don't know, but so many people whose names will be left out when we start calling names, but I thought that was important. I will mention that we then did the relocation, and I think the most important thing about the relocation was that it was extraordinarily courageous. The church had not been at Glencliff that long. It still had a large debt, but the commitment to not only relocate, but to relocate in a quality way to this corner right in the center of West Plano, Coit and Parker, by 14 acres of land that would allow us to grow, to build quality buildings, but as much as anything else, to continue to move out and expand the mission field of Christ Church. It was obviously an extraordinarily important moment. And then after we got here, I turned to Joe Holmes, who had led the relocation and been the building chairman of the Phase 1 here at this location, and I said, Joe, you're such a gifted strategic thinker. What if it was clear to me at that time, it had to be about more than just buildings. And I said, what if we were to take your leadership and strategic thinkings and worked that hard to create an outreach project that would really galvanize our church around transforming lives. And he said, I got it. And so Joe and Walt Perky and later Jenna Gramone created the remarkable Project Hope that has changed so many lives, but the lives that have been changed the most, I think, have been the thousands of people who are members of Christ Church. We have been changed because of this commitment to making a difference, loving God, serving others, and transforming lives. And as you know, Project Hope is a unique ministry. We designed it. It's now been copied by a number of other Methodist churches, and it has been clearly an important part of the culture here at Christ Church. And then later came Hurricane Katrina, and what we now refer to as Hotel Katrina. In fact, we were probably the first institution in the Dallas area. We just built the Christian Life Center. We were going to have recreational ministries in the Christian Life Center. It's only a few months old. And as soon as Hurricane Katrina hit, and we knew that evacuees were headed this way, we said, oh, that's why God wanted us to build the CLC. There was important work for us to do. And so we created what quickly became known as Hotel Katrina. Brilliant lay leaders who can build corporations built a hotel. We literally had food service, laundry service, you name it. And we treated the evacuees from Katrina as our treasured guests, which many of them are still here today and still are our good friends. And there were so many people in our church that got involved. And we remember the evacuees coming, they had water stains up to here on their shirts. They were our guests for a number of weeks, and so many volunteers went over to Hotel Katrina and volunteered. It was really life-changing for them. So many people have said to me, you know, all these years I've been a Christian, I've tried to follow Christ, but it was not until I went and served in Hotel Katrina that I really got it. And it was life-changing for me. And I've said many times before, I'll say it today on our 40th anniversary, that when the final history of Christ Church is written, there will be a whole chapter devoted to Hotel Katrina, because if there is any doubt about our commitment to serving others, that doubt was closed out with that remarkable ministry that is still today a part of our culture. House on the Corner, we celebrated the 10th House on the Corner yesterday. You'll see a little bit more about that in a moment. Clyde Rupert, I said, Clyde, the first year, I said, I want 1,000 discreet volunteers involved in House on the Corner. And Clyde delivered. Some of you may remember at the time, we actually had a little fake granite block with the name of each volunteer. And now throughout 10 years of House on the Corner, thousands of people involved. And really, House on the Corner no longer belongs to us. It really belongs to the community. So many doctors, dentists' office, contractors, volunteers from around the community come and participate in House on the Corner. And it has, I think, confirmed one of our own strategic goals, and that is to say that we want Christ Church to be a positive influence in this community. Our bishop sometimes says, what would your city look like if your church were not there? We'd like to believe that Plano is a better, more loving, serving community because of Christ United Methodist Church. So these pivotal moments that I think, really most of them led by lay people, that have made such a remarkable difference in the life of this church. Now I'm going to take just a minute or two to talk about the present and the future. And this is a great time to announce 3 new staff members. Alexander, we didn't know that when you announced that you were leaving, it would take 3 people to replace you. But we have an exciting present and an exciting future. The future, of course, is the Princeton campus. Fred made mention of that. It is a remarkable mission field, 18,000 people in the extended retail area of Princeton, not a Methodist church anywhere. That's the same size that Plano was when Christ Church was planted in 1973. So here we are 40 years later, creating another campus. It will grow organically, but all of these things that I've talked about, this missional consciousness, this commitment to outreach, will be a part of that campus ministry in Princeton. Reverend Clay Horton. Everywhere I go in the North Texas Conference these days, people say, well, Don, you did it again. You are always cherry-picking the best people in the conference. Clay will be commissioned at this upcoming meeting of the North Texas Conference beginning on June the 2nd. 28 years old, he and his wife, Erin, have 2 young children. He'll be our campus pastor. He'll spend the first few months here on this campus. You'll get to hear him preach. He is just a remarkable young man with a tremendous future. And we are so very, very pleased to have Clay with us. Secondly, taking most of the duties that Alexander has been performing is the Reverend Denise Peckham. We, through the years, we've tried to find that kind of needle in the haystack, that person with such remarkable gifts that maybe has been overlooked in some ways. At any rate, we've scoured the North Texas Conference. This is a remarkable woman. She's been the pastor for 6 years at Butt Memorial United Methodist Church in Little Elm. She is driven, she is passionate, she is creative, she is smart. Just to give you one example of her ministry, this little church in Little Elm, she created a ministry over there. She found the funding for it herself that feeds 200 children a day in the summertime, children who would not have a lunch. So it's just the kind of person we're getting. We're just real excited about Denise joining our church. And then finally, we have really tried to innovate at Christ Church. We've done some things for the very first time, Project Hope being an example, Hotel Katrina, and now here is another moment. This is perfect timing because we've been working on this for several weeks, but we just finished it this past week. Dr. Alice McKenzie is a professor at Perkins School of Theology. She teaches homiletics. She teaches preaching. She is the holder of the George W. and Nell Ayers Levan Endowed Chair of Preaching. She is much published, many, many books. She is a popular lecturer and preacher around the world, just got back from Nova Scotia. And beginning on August the 1st, she will become our preacher in residence. As such, she will not have an ongoing responsibility on staff, but she will be coming and standing in this pulpit preaching approximately 10 times a year. This is something that I'm just really excited about. She is a remarkable person, and I look forward to you getting to know her. She's funny, she's witty, and she's brilliant. So I know they're not here today, but at Christ Church fashion, let's just welcome them. It is an exciting future. I didn't say this the first 2 times, but after the second service, somebody came by and said, well, 40 years has been a great 40 years. I hope you're not retiring. And if you don't mind me using this cowboy expression, I have to tell you that I'm deep in the saddle. I'm as excited. I'm excited about our ministry here at Christ Church today as I was 30 years ago. I might not make it another 40 years, but I look forward to sharing and embracing God's future with you. Thanks be to God. Amen.
Good morning, Christ Church. My name is Fred Candler. I'm proud to be the founding pastor of Christ United Methodist Church. I was appointed in 1973 and was with this congregation for 10 years and enjoyed a 10th anniversary before being reassigned in 1983. What an inexpressible joy is mine to greet you on this, the 40th anniversary Sunday. This video is necessitated because Mona and I are with our granddaughter, our oldest granddaughter, Hannah Bannister, for her high school graduation in rural Kansas. June 30 has been offered as an alternative time for me to come and preach, and I'm so grateful for that opportunity. Mona and I look forward to a personal time of remembering and sharing with you next month. But we want you to know that this morning our hearts are filled with wondrous memories of this, our beloved congregation. One that we did indeed spend 10 years serving, and I think we would easily say you were our life for 10 years. 40 years ago, when Christ Church met on that first Sunday to worship as a community of faith, we affirmed two crucial realities. First, we affirmed that a church is a gathered people through whom God's life, love, and being seek to be made real in human community. And second, we affirmed that Christ Church was called, under the guidance of the Holy Spirit, to make and keep human life more fully human through creative ministries and missions. These two affirmations provided us with a vision for those early years of the life of Christ Church. But more than that, they provided us with a vision for the continued relevance, the spiritual vitality, and the sustained growth of Christ Church. Now, for 40 years, those affirmations and their vision have found various forms of expression and various types of focus in the life of Christ Church, especially for the last 30 years under the incredibly fruitful ministry of Don Underwood. Those affirmations have been lived into reality. I am mindful of the impactful ministry of the House on the Corner and the providing for 10 years of affordable housing for folks in the Douglas community. Christ Church has always sought to be Christ for the Plano community and for the world, and it has done just that. And now there's this wonderful new possibility for Christ Church to reach out and extend its life, its ministries, its missions through the establishment of a new community, a satellite church, where a whole new people will be gathered to continue to affirm their life as God's special people who are committed to being alive to God's presence and power and love in the midst of their gatheredness and in the midst of the community they serve. It's exciting to know that these affirmations from the early years are still providing an opportunity and a future for Christ United Methodist Church. One of my favorite hymns through all the years is a hymn called "That Cause Can Neither Be Lost Nor Stayed." It's one of my very favorites. It was sung on the 8th anniversary of Christ Church as the closing hymn in 1981. The line from that hymn that matters most to me is this: "That cause can neither be lost nor stayed that takes the course of what God has made, and is not trusting in walls and towers, but slowly growing from seed to flowers." I think those words describe the first 40 years of Christ Church. Christ Church has stayed a course that God has made. And Christ Church future will neither be lost nor stayed, because that powerful, unfailing love, unconditional love of God revealed in Jesus Christ is still the driving force of this congregation's life. May God's life, love, and being bless you on this anniversary Sunday, the 40th anniversary. And know always that you are my beloved congregation.